Now, this is about international students. And there is a very recent article which has come in one of the main papers that is about the international students using the food bank in Canada to get free food, right? So how do you see free food? Do you see free food as a way of getting that as an advantage because you can get free food? Or rather, should you be using the food bank only in the condition where it is a dire need? What would you basically say should be the way to do it? So this is the most recent article shared by CBC News. No international students as the need grows. The Brampton Food Bank is turning students away. Now, why are they turning the students away? Because obviously, there are a lot of students who are turning up to so basically take advantage of the food bank. We're getting groups of 3, 4, sometimes 9, 10 with their backpacks ready for free stuff. We tell them we can't feed you, you're responsible for yourself and your family. So what are we talking about? What are food banks? Food banks are basically charitable forms whereby anybody who's hungry, anybody who cannot afford to have groceries or food, etc., they can go to a food bank and then they can, get some grocery items. Now, these food banks are funded because people want to donate food items to the food bank so that the food banks can then distribute to the destitute, to hungry, to deserving, to people who are really needy. Should international students use these food banks as a source for free food? Why? Because if you were to go on YouTube and if you put a search term, how to get free food in Canada, you will see so many international students having made videos on how to go to a food bank and get lots of free food. And then they brag about it. Okay. I don't think Canadians are seeing that as a nice thing. This is actually a misuse of something which is meant with a very good intention. Good intention as in there should be nobody out there who's hungry, especially now in winters when things can get really tough. If you're homeless, if you're really poor, if you really cannot, you've lost your job, you really are finding it really hard to meet your expenses, you use the food bank. Fair enough. But for international students, now there are two sides of the story, right? Obviously, there are always the two sides of the story. International students, if they really need, then they should go to the food bank. They can go to the food bank. There should be no nationality, race, status as the criteria to use the food bank. So if an international student really need it, they should be able to use it. So the food banks, at least this first one, which has made the news, they are saying that international students should have enough money when they come to Canada to support themselves. That is the basic requirement when you are submitting your study permit application. Therefore, you have to show a GIC of 10,000. You and I, we both can agree that $10,000 a year is not sufficient to manage your expenses. That works out to roughly $833 per month. You cannot even pay rent for $833 at this point of time. So is this the Canadian government's mistake or IRCC's mistake for not insisting upon enough GIC or enough funds availability? Or is it fault with the international students itself for not having conducted proper research to understand how much money they would need when they come to Canada, that they have to now resort to food banks instead? What is your take on it? Drop me some comments. I would like to understand this better, because as it is, the whole community, the whole international students community is getting so much of flack. They get the flack because the housing crisis. Then, of course, within the international students community, there is a problem with the fact that their postgraduate work permits are expiring and whether they will have an option to extend or not. To that, now these issues in terms of being able to survive, definitely an area of concern. I personally feel that anybody who is hungry, who is in dire straits at a time when they cannot afford the basic necessity of their life, regardless of what their status in Canada is, regardless what they are, regardless of what race, religion, culture, faith, if they have an option like this, a food bank, then they should be able to use it. They should be able to go and take advantage of that availability of that for people at large. But if you are a person who is using that to misuse it because, hey, it's free food, I can get that and I will save some money and I can instead go and party somewhere, or for my expensive iPhone, then I think it's an abuse of this provision and it doesn't bear very well on people. So yeah, you are the best judge. You yourself know what you should or you should not do, and therefore you can make the decision yourself. Thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe. Take care.